Hello, I'm Scott. Welcome to the second episode in our Maya tutorial barrel modelling series. In the last episode, what we did was we spawned in our poly cylinder. We got the size about the same as the barrel here that we're using as our reference. We changed the geometry on the barrel to add our edge loops to the side so that we can add in these little lips and rings around the edge of the barrel later. We placed a couple rings on the top and on the bottom. We scaled those out so that we can extrude this top face in to give us this nice little dip, and we moved the pivot point on the cylinder and snapped it to the base of our grid so that we can see what we're doing a bit better. What we're going to do today is we're going to get these edge loops that are running around the barrel here where we need them so that we can extrude in the sides so we can get these nice rings and lips on the barrel, and we're going to extrude in the top faces as well. So to get started, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go with the lips on the top and on the bottom. Now we want these to be the same depth, so the way that we do that is we can scale this bottom ring here and this top ring here at the same time away from each other so that the distance between the two remains the same, which means that the distance from the top and the bottom will remain the same. So to do that, we're going to zoom in just a little bit, and if we double click this edge loop running around here, it'll select the whole loop for us. So if we double click that, it's going to give us the whole loop. If we hold shift to multiple select and we double click the bottom loop, it's going to give us that one as well. So now that we've got these two, if we press R for scale and we use the Y direction here, if we scale these we can pull them together or push them apart. So we're going to move these apart until they're about right. So round about there is going to do for us, I think. So we don't want it too thick and we don't want it too thin, just something about that. Now we're going to do the same again for the next two loops down. So we're going to double click and then we're going to hold shift and double click this one. Make sure that we've not still got these top two selected when we do that. So before you double click them, click off and then double click and then shift and double click. And we're going to scale these two apart. And then we're going to do the same, oh that's a bit too high, about there. And then we're going to do the same for the next two. So we'll click off and we'll double click and we'll use shift and double click and we'll scale these two. Like so. So now we can kind of see where this is going to go. We've got the rings sitting roughly where we need them, we've got the lips where we need them too. So the next step is we're going to bring these top faces in and the bottom faces in as well. So to do that, we're going to have to hold right click down and we're going to hover over face and let go. Now we could use shift and if I press Q just to make this a bit easier, we could hold shift down and we could one by one click all these faces, but it's a bit time consuming and it's a bit tedious. If we hold the tab key on our keyboard, it gives us this different little tool. It changes our cursor to a little ring, and this allows us to paint what faces we want to select. So if we can hold tab down and we just paint a circle on the top here like so, it's going to select all those faces. And if we look at the bottom, if we just hold tab again, we don't have to hold shift with this tool, we can just paint again on the bottom and it's going to leave them both selected for us like so. So now we want to extrude these faces in a bit. So our extrude button is this little white square with a little orange tower coming out of it on the top here. But I'm going to use the hotkey for it, which is Ctrl and E. And then we can extrude these using the direction tools. Now if we try and use the move tools, it's going to bring them in a bit like so. We can also press R and we can do a scaled extrusion where we can just bring them down a little bit, and it's a little less aggressive in moving than what the move tool is. So if we pull that down to around there, that looks about right for what we're doing. And now we're going to bring in the sides. So to do that, we're going to use the shift tool again. So if the same way that we can double click an edge loop, we can select a face loop. So if we hold shift and we click one face, I'm just going to press Q to get rid of that little tool. So if we hold down shift and we double click the face next to the one that we've already got selected, it's going to give us this whole loop running round. So if we do the same again, if we hold shift and we click one face, and we double click the next, and then we click one face with Shift again and double click the next. Now we've selected everything besides our rings and our lips, and if we use Ctrl E again to extrude and we press R, we're going to use this little X and Z scale tool again, because that's going to allow us to either push our faces out or pull them slightly in. So we only want this very subtle, so about there. Maybe just a little bit more than that. Because we don't want the rings and the lips to be too aggressive. So there we go, that's about right. So what we've got here is we've got our barrel all set up and it's starting to take shape now. Now I think our rings are maybe just a little bit too far apart. So what we'll do to fix that is we'll come down underneath and we'll click a face. I'll press Q just to get the little editor out of the way, and we'll double click this bottom face next to it. We'll do the same again where we click and double click to get the next face loop, and we'll get this one too. And then if we use W, we can slide all of these up just a little bit. And then if we do the same on the top, if we click one of these and then press Q to get rid of the little move tool, and we double click, Shift and double click, and then Shift and double click again, and we press W, we can move these again. So we just bring this down again a little bit. That's looking a bit more natural now. So we've kind of got our basic barrel shape out now. In the next video what we're going to do is we're going to bevel out some of the edges on this so that we can get a nice bit of edge highlighting when we zoom out on it, where we can see the light catching the lips. And we're going to do that for the whole model and make sure that none of our bevels have anything wrong with them and there's no tearing in the mesh going on as we do that. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.